this time. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Commander of the Mid-Atlantic Recruiting Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Brendan Tulin, and retired Captain David Christian, welcome to today's ceremony, where we'll be recognizing these future soldiers' commitment to joining the Army. Today's special guests for today's ceremony include Kenneth Wong, the civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army, Pennsylvania East, Pennsylvania Senator Tommy Tomlinson and Steve Santaceros, Pennsylvania Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick, Dr. and Mrs. Tweedy from the Washington Crossing Foundation, and Melissa Sparrowley from the Pennsylvania State Parks. The reviewing officer for today's ceremony is the Commander of the Mid-Atlantic Recruiting Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Brendan Tulin. The future soldiers standing before you represent a few of the young men and women from the area who have volunteered to join the Army and the Army Reserve. We hope you enjoy today's ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the colors and the playing of the national anthem.
Present. Right shoulder. Right turn. Arm left.
Please be seated.
Ready? Rest.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Commander of the Mid-Atlantic Recruiting Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Brendan Tulin.
Good morning. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Brendan Tulin. I'm the commander of the Mid-Atlantic Army Recruiting Battalion. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Oath of Enlistment ceremony for the future soldiers from the Philadelphia Metro Company and the Valley Forge Company. I'd like to start by recognizing some important guests, both present and virtually. Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick from the U.S. House of Representatives representing Pennsylvania's 1st District, Pennsylvania State Senators Tommy Tomlinson and Steve Santaceros, Mr. Ken Wong, the civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army for Eastern Pennsylvania, Dr. and Mrs. Tweedy from the Washington Crossing Foundation, Miss Melissa Sparrowley from the Pennsylvania State Parks, and Captain Retired David Christian, our guest speaker and the officiant of today's oath. Welcome to today's ceremony and thank you all for attending. Your support to the United States Army and our unit's critical mission of filling the Army's ranks with enthusiastic, talented, and dedicated citizens is so important to our success. Personally, as a native of Bucks County, it warms my heart to feel so supported by the area we all call home. I'd also like to welcome the parents and family members of our future soldiers. Your support to your soldier has been an inspiration to us all and will continue to be critical as they embark on this great opportunity. Their decision to serve speaks volumes about your families. And last but definitely not least, welcome to our future soldiers who will today take the oath of enlistment. Thank you for your decision to join the 1% of Americans who choose to serve in the United States military. The oath of enlistment is sacred. Those willing to raise their right hand swears or affirms one commitment to upholding the values and institutions that make this country the greatest country in the world. Every single member of the armed forces takes this oath, and in doing so, they join a profession that is motivated by values, discipline, standards, and camaraderie. The oath is sacred. To make today's ceremony even more meaningful is the grounds on which we will administer the oath. On Christmas Day, 244 years ago, General George Washington crossed the icy waters right over there to attack the British in the Battle of Trenton. It is inspiring to be standing here, but even more inspiring when you consider that the young men and women who stand before you are joining that same profession, and they bring their unique talents, skills, backgrounds, and experience, which makes our Army great. So again, thank you all for making this choice. It is my absolute distinct honor to introduce our guest speaker and the officiant of today's oath. Captain David Christian is a Vietnam veteran, a war hero, an advocate for veterans, and a patriot. He enlisted in the U.S. Army shortly after graduating from high school. Shortly afterwards, was commissioned as a second lieutenant at 18 years of age, thereby becoming the youngest military officer since the Civil War. He earned his Green Beret at the John F. Kennedy Special Warfare School at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. While serving our country in Vietnam, he led the 1st Infantry Division Long-Range Reconnaissance, I Company of the 75th Rangers, and the Reconnaissance Platoon for the 1st Battalion, 26th Infantry. He led dangerous reconnaissance missions with the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment on the Cambodian border of Vietnam. Captain Christian was twice nominated for the Medal of Honor. For his personal heroism in combat, he was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross and 2 Silver Stars for valor. He is also the recipient of the Bronze Star, America's 4th highest recognition for valor, 7 Purple Hearts, the Combat Infantryman Badge, the Parachutist Badge, and the Vietnam Service Medal. Captain Christian was medically retired from wounds received in combat at the age of 21 years old. Following his incredible military service, Captain Christian earned a bachelor's degree in political science from Villanova University. He pursued a master's degree in government at the University of Pennsylvania and was granted a Juris Doctorate from Rutgers School of Law. He worked for 4 U.S. presidents and was the senior advisor to the U.S. Senate for Foreign Relations, National Defense, and Veterans Benefits. During the Russian-Chechen War, he served as ambassador to Chechnya for economic and humanitarian aid and has served in every zone since the Vietnam War, conflict zone. Today he is a successful businessman, husband, father, and grandfather, and he's also the author of Victor VI, America's youngest, most decorated officer of the Vietnam War. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain David Christian, United States Army, retired.
It gives me great pleasure to be here today. I live about 2 miles or a mile, depends if you have to walk or drive. But we're on hallowed ground, as the colonel just pointed out. And you have a colonel who's in charge of the Mid-Atlantic recruiting here. He's also, ranger, these people that you see here in uniform that are bringing you in and educating you on your new assignments in the United States Army. But as I want you to look out, those that are sitting here, maybe to my right and your left, this is the field of concentration. The field of concentration where George Washington troops laid and waited until they got the command from their general to embark at the point of embarkation across the Delaware River, which was frozen. And they needed recruits back then. They needed people to find Durham boats who would carry horses and recruits across. Some people did not have boots. Some people did not have shoes. And they made it across the Delaware. They marched into Trenton and they defeated the Hessians. Many people say it was a turning point in the Revolutionary War. And there's graves right up the road here. The first graves of the Revolutionary War soldiers, the tombs of the unknown soldiers, are sitting up there. unknown soldiers from the Revolutionary War. I stood in your shoes as a private. I spent 3 years, 9 months, and 18 days in the military. I didn't count the minutes, but the military was a great turning point in my life. It was my scholarship to move ahead in life. But not only did I stand in your shoes, people that were recruited stood in your shoes almost 245 years ago. You are the first recruitments, and they're your first recruits in Washington Crossing in almost 245 years. A lot of history has passed before you. Your primary MOS when you leave here will be infantry as you go through basic training. And then you go to your advanced individual training. Some of you are armor, some of you are support, some of you are intelligence, your infantry, special forces. Your Army will take you where you want to go. It's so exciting for me to see you here today and formally become soldiers. And like the soldiers before you, I'm sure you are going to be proud, and soldiers are going to come after you and swear in to the United States Army. I feel that in thinking about your primary MOS and your secondary MOS, I know that you think that you're training to be in supply, for example. I'll tell you a little story about a supply sergeant. He thought he was supply, and he was stationed in England, and he was with the 8th Army Air Force. And he thought the war was great in World War II, because the Air Force was part of the Army. Well, really, his supply MOS faded away once the Germans and the Americans engaged after Normandy. And that gentleman's primary MOS from basic training took place, and he became an infantryman. And he met soldiers, and he was a collector back here in Philadelphia. He liked collecting things, watches, rings, tried to send home motorcycles, whatever it may be. That gentleman's name was Edward Todd. He was my father-in-law. And as he served gallantly in World War II, you will serve today. As my mother served with my father, she met my father in the Philippines, and they served through the South Pacific, you will serve the same. As my two brothers that served, one 4 years in Vietnam served, and my younger brother served, you will serve the same. It is such an honor to see you here today. I cannot believe that George Washington is not looking down upon this group of soldiers with a tear in his eyes, saying that the traditions and the history and the values and the core of our country is going forward. When that flag goes by, I get excitement. Many of people, the first medals of honor were given out for people that picked up a flag off the battlefield. The first black to receive the Medal of Honor kept the flag from dropping on the battlefield. Yes, you are part of history. You can go all over the world, and people want to know where soldiers served. They want to go to France and they go to Normandy. They want to go to the South Pacific. They want to see where soldiers served. And ladies and gentlemen, generations after you will want to know where you swore in. Generations after you will want to know where you served, where you sacrificed. And if you don't think it's a sacrifice being away from home, then you haven't been away from home. It will be a sacrifice. I am going to tell everyone here with your many, many MOSs represented. And the MOS for the civilian people here is your military occupation specialty. That's what they're going to be trained in, and that's going to be their primary training. Their secondary training comes from basic training. When you leave basic training, you can hold your chest high, throw your shoulders back. You will be in the best shape you've ever been in your life. And as you tell your neighbors and your friends and your peers, today you swore in to get the best scholarship that you could ever get in your life. I don't care if you want to train to be a carpenter, a baker, a candlestick maker, a plumber, or a career soldier, you have the GI Bill. And the GI Bill, when you leave, affords you the opportunity to gain other education. I could not have went to Villanova, I could not have went to Rutgers Law School, I could not have went to University of Pennsylvania without the help of Uncle Sam and the GI Bill. And you folks are in the same situation. Today, you will be eligible as you move forward. You're taking your first step for eligibility for the biggest scholarship in your life, to enhance and increase your professionalism in our society. I just would like to end and say, I was very nervous as a private E1. I was so scared when I got to my first base. I went to Fort Jackson and Fort Gordon and Fort Hood, California. I just kept going on, doing training. I saluted everything that moved. If a car was coming by, I saluted with both hands. I didn't know what was going on. It was so new to me. People getting in my face, I couldn't tell them that their breath wasn't really that pleasant. and they would love to talk to you that close. Now today I have a problem with my hearing, but back then I could hear pretty well. The guy could have stayed and kept his distance from me. However, what I learned in the military, in order to move ahead, to be commissioned a second lieutenant at 18 years of age, and my first sergeant come up to me as I'm going into battle, and he says, "Son, I have 5 boys that are older than you." And I said, "Top," and that's what you call first sergeants for you civilians. I said, "Top, let's you and I get along, okay?" And we got along. And we had a great track record in serving our country in the many places. To be a captain at 20 years old, I was not old enough to vote, drink, buy cigarettes in the United States of America. I was old enough to bleed and serve for my country. And I was proud. I was proud. My wonderful wife joins me here today. The colonel, the aide, the civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army. This is not a traditional swearing-in ceremony. This is really very, very historic and very important for everyone who stands here and for your family members. It will not go unnoticed in your legacy, in your history, in your lives. So I ask you as I end, I want you as young soldiers, young recruits, to listen, to learn, and to lead. You are the future leaders of our country. You are protecting your family, my family, and even my dog. And I'm asking you, just do your best. Listen, learn, and lead. Use your scholarship as a United States soldier getting out with the GI Bill so that you move ahead. Take care of you, take care of your team, take care of the United States Army and the United States of America. I thank you, and I thank America for producing such wonderful, wonderful young recruits. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. Now it's my understanding, if you have family members here, this takes about 60 minutes or 60 seconds. If it takes 60 minutes, I've really done something wrong. It takes 60 seconds to give the oath. I would like Gerald Burke to come forward and post himself. Stay your social distance from me. Come a little closer, son. All right. I have skin in this game. I have skin in this game for this group. My first grandson joined the United States military. For those of you that have family members here, thank you. For those of you that have family members here, the new recruits, I ask for 60 seconds, since you're social distance and we're outside, if you could drop your mask so your family members could get you as you raise your right hand and take the oath during those 60 seconds. You're going to repeat after me. And then please raise your right hand. If you feel like you want to take your mask down, please take your mask down so that your family members can get a photograph of you. It's a historic time. Raise your right hands now.
Right hand, up.
Okay, attention. Okay. Now raise your right hand. I'm sorry we didn't call you to attention. I'm a little more laxed. You know, you're gonna have the major being in charge of you guys, so you'd hoping I'm in charge of you. So as I say the word I, and then we're gonna roll into your name. You say your personal name. I, David A. Christian, you say your name. I, your name.
I, Gerald Burke,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support
that I will support
and defend the Constitution
and defend the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same,
and allegiance to the same,
and that I will obey
and that I will obey
the orders of the President of the United States
the orders of the President of the United States
and the orders of the officers
and the orders of the officers
appointed over me,
appointed over me,
according to the regulations of the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
according to the regulations of the Military Code and Uniform Justice.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, your first day of duty. Welcome to a very, very unique fraternity. It's called the United States Army. My mother's got a tear in her eyes in heaven right now, seeing the number of women in the group, seeing her grandson, her great-grandson swearing in. Return to your position. Thank you, Mr. Burke.
As a token of appreciation, Captain David Christian will present each future soldier with a coin, or what is more commonly known as a challenge coin. A challenge coin is a small coin or medallion which bears an organization's insignia or emblem and is carried by the organization's members. Historically, the coin dates back to the Roman Empire, where the commander would give a coin to the soldiers as a recognition for their achievements. Throughout the years, the challenge coin has evolved into an actual coin or something more. A challenge coin usually bears an organization's insignia or emblem and is given to that organization's member for their achievements or to prove to anyone that they are part of that organization and enhance morale. The future soldiers today are receiving a challenge coin that were donated by the Washington Crossing Foundation. One side of the coin has a picture of Washington crossing the Delaware with December 25th, 1776 around it, and the other has a picture of the seal of the United States with Washington's Crossing Historic Park around it. On behalf of the commander of the Mid-Atlantic Recruiting Battalion and Captain Christian, we thank you for attending today's ceremony. We wish to thank Washington Crossing State Park for allowing us to have the ceremony, Ms. Diane Reitz for helping coordinate the event, and you for your attendance for today. Please join the future soldiers for a reception hosted by Mission Barbecue immediately following at the back of the pavilion. If you wish to take a guided tour, please see tour guide at the visitor center. Thank you for joining us today. It began here.
All right, hey, listen up. Future soldiers, real quick. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna take, I'm gonna take a fall out. When I fall out, you're gonna move the room picking tables out into the field. We're gonna get a better shot of you out in the light. And then you come and tell them to kill, okay? All right, they're all yours. Keep it jump out of